All right, here we go. So how was the homework and everything?
Pretty good. So that was let's see, chapter 1 through 5,
Six and seven.
6 and 7. Yes.
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. I'm liking this book. It's interesting.
Awesome. Yeah, it's good. It's good. Like you're gonna learn. I mean, you'll pull things from it, as you're coaching. But
Right.
it's really good to reread. You're gonna read one time, but it's not gonna all the way come in the first time you read it. Um,
Right.
it's good to reread those different perspectives and just the foundation of what coaching is. And so,
Well, and as I get experience doing coaching,
mhm.
it may read differently.
Exactly.
I go over it again, just I've got that actual experience.
Yep. Like it talked about those models and everything too, which will
Hmm.
really the models is a map. It's talking about it being a map towards okay, this is how go about coaching somebody. Like use this as your roadmap, and, and we'll talk through that. But yeah, so this week we're gonna go through coaching techniques, and so it's gonna be like several different techniques we're gonna talk through. It's gonna be 15 different techniques. These are ones you'll definitely use when you're coaching. Uh, so yeah, this week we'll discuss active listening and all that involves. We will also talk about the difference between open-ended and closed questions.
Hmm.
The remainder of the class will introduce those 15 different coaching techniques, professional coaching techniques. So we'll go through those. And I remember you asked, oh, yeah, also you asked about the event. So I'm gonna send that out to you. I'm gonna at least send you an email so you'll have that info. So I want to get that to you. I didn't forget about that. There was just want to make sure I send you the right info. But I'm gonna get that to you after this meet after this class. Get that to you.
Okay.
And then you're not in like Florida, like what? You're not Florida, Tennessee, Carolina, where the hurricane. Are you impacted by a hurricane at all?
No, I'm in North Texas, so I'm not getting anything from it.
Okay, okay.
Uh,
Well, yeah, definitely prayers for everybody that's impacted there. We'll bring that up in prayer at the end.
yeah, the hurricane went up into Tennessee and it hit what was left of it by that point. By that time, it was just a strong storm, but
Okay.
it hit the area my wife grew up and all her family are in. So
Oh, okay.
it's just a heavy storm at this point. But I don't think it was just down. I think it wasn't category 1 even. It was just a really strong storm. What was left of it by the time we got up there, but
Mhm.
they've been raining nonstop for the last few days.
Yeah.
But they're all okay.
So that's good. Okay, good, good. Yeah, I'll definitely bring it up in prayer too at the end. We'll pray about
Mhm.
that. It's craziness. Yeah, luckily, I don't have any family that's impacted that I know of. That's down there. We do have some family that they were just going to Florida like for a
Mhm.
cruise, like during that whole time period. But they was like in a good part of Florida. They were going to West Palm
Oh,
Beach on that
oh,
side. They
okay.
were looking for a cruise, so they weren't impacted at all. They was able to enjoy their cruise and everything. So,
Okay, good.
but yeah, so last week we introduced the exclusive breakthrough coaching model. We talked about remember the telling myth, where people don't need to be told what to do, but need to need to be involved in the process for revelation. So not actually telling them, the revelation, but having them, get to it from your questioning. Uh, and then, like I said, today we'll talk about active listening, and
Okay.
where we're going to go through those 15 different coaching techniques. So yeah, buckle your seatbelt. It's gonna be a lot, but go ahead and
Yeah.
take. So we'll talk through it. let's see. So this is the breakthrough model. Like I said, this is going to be on the test right here. So definitely, take note of these different parts in the model. So 6 steps of coaching model. And like I said, it's like a map, a road map. And this is a good guide to keep in front of you to know where others are in their journey. You know,
Hmm.
so awareness, where is the client right now? So just understanding where someone is going, if they can have success in their life, what would that look like? You know, uh, think someone is somewhere where they are not. And then vision. So they need to define their goal. What is the specific goal? Specifically define client goals, including a mission, meaning, and desired outcomes. And so with this, like I said, they need to define their goal and objective to get in there. So how they gonna get there? So how we know if he has arrived, you know, that's his vision part. Many have no clue. Uh, but this is them stepping into the future and being visionaries. As a coach, you're a good visionary. You're helping your client to be a good visionary of
Hmm.
where they want to go. So may
So
take
is that just coming up with ideas like to suggest to them, like if their goal is to, pay off a debt, for instance,
yeah.
that helping them say, well, helping them get a budget going or helping them.
Well, that's the strategy part, but it's like this is kind of like that big goal of like, okay, what are we working towards? This isn't like the baby step. This is not the baby step. This is actually like the big goal of like where
Okay.
do you see yourself? Like where do you see yourself, after, a year from now? Or or it could be 6 months from now, whatever it is, but it's a long period of time. Like where do you see yourself? And you getting them there. Like this could take a significant amount of time, especially if the client never has done this. So it could
Hmm.
take a little while where they're trying to be like, okay, where do I see myself 6 months or a year from now? Or, I wouldn't do 5 years from now, but maybe like a year at the most, I would say. Where you see yourself a year from now. Yeah. So it could take some time for them to like think through. And then obstacles. So with that, they start thinking about like, oh, this is where I see myself in a year. They're like, oh, wait, I have all these different obstacles. So what? And then they start saying what's standing in their way towards getting to that vision they put out there. So expose and clearly define the inner and outer obstacles that block the client's progress, because life is not a smooth journey. Like within a year, tons of things can happen. You know,
Right.
it's not a smooth journey. So just knowing there's going to be inner obstacles. So, things like having a small mindset, or what if I fail at this? Just having them think, through those obstacles, thinking bigger, those things, and giving them encouragement and confidence that they could get through those obstacles. Um, and then outer obstacles as well, which it could be like weather, like, oh, this hurricane popped up, and now I got to do this, and that. But it's like just changing their focus, from the negative of those obstacles, you know. But have them list those down. It's good to have those listed down of like seeing where their mindset is. Uh, and I like what they said in the book. So look less at the mountain and more out at the mountain movers. So
Hmm.
trying to get them to that mindset. So pointing out the blind spots as well, pointing those blind spots out where there could be obstacles. Um, and then from there you get to talking about support. So what can support the client's success? These are the things the client needs to add or remove in order to help with their goals. So what needs to be put in place for success? You know, And then from there, that's when we start strategizing and getting actions. And so with strategy, you try to do. like SMART goals, where it's like specific and measurable and realistic. So having that on there, um, and you're working through that. And like if a goal is put out there and it's not measurable, like okay, let's rework this and make it measurable. If it's not realistic, rework it, make it more realistic what they could do. Um, and like, and I say I saw this in chapter 7 as well in the book. It's talked about just being focused, directed, and intentional. So that's the big thing during this time is make sure they have a strategy that is focused, is directed, and intentional, and they're being with the strategies and actions that's going on. But yeah, get to those actions. How is the client willing to take action? Getting commitments for regular small steps that will incrementally move the client forward. So we'll, and then later on we'll talk about that 1% better. Just having those actions to be 1% better. And this is the time where you're asking the client to commit to the plan, and you're encouraging, you're cheerleading, on with these action items. And they're, like I said, they're realistic, they're measurable, they're specific. Any questions?
No. Oh,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, that makes sense.
All right. So active listening. So what would you say, based on the reading and what you know about active listening, what did you say, active listening is?
It listening to understand
Mm-hmm.
primarily rather than being understood or trying to make a point.
Mm-hmm.
It's really trying to see it from the speaker's perspective.
Yep. Yep. And so yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's genuinely, listening, having that full attention, like you said, just really being engaged, present in the conversation, giving that person space to talk, you
Hmm.
know. And I like to say, getting everything off your chest. You know that saying of like just get it all off the chest. I mean, letting someone share what is on their heart, without interruption, or at least, chiming in here and there, not going off the subject they are talking about, and being tuned in, like they're just venting, getting everything out and just letting them speak. So you're active listening. And I said that's the big thing. When you do bring something into the conversation that is on subject. So they know you're listening. And then also, yeah, active listening is a way of listening and responding to another person. And it improves mutual understanding as well. So you are trying to get to your client's obstacles. Yeah. And so going here, you know, and it talks about it here. So we'll go through this. So what is active listening? Listening to the client's agenda, listening, not giving advice. Listening, it requires patience. Listening requires concentration. Listening is being in the moment. Listening gives space to think. Listening is a gift we give. And I say that, why do you think it's a gift? When I say that, why is listening a gift?
Because most people don't listen, so
Yeah,
it's it's going to stand out. It's going to be noticed, and plus it's a gift of seeking to understand them and to make them feel heard and seen and
exactly.
understood.
Exactly. Yeah. Like you said, it's gift is the gift of your time and attention. But at the same
Mhm.
time, many people feel like they are not being heard. And that's exactly
Right.
what you said. And this is a true form of, validation that their heart is being heard, when you're listening. And it's a true gift. So this brings a lot of comfort, to the client, listening for content and for what is not being said. So going here, and that's this part right here. So active listening targets. And so in this part, like I said, we're listening for the content for what is not being said. And this is why you're doing that active listening. So it's listening for clients' attitudes, listening for insights about the client, listening for fears or passions, listening for talent and skill levels. And that's the thing, you're giving that back to them. You're like, I'm not good at this. And then you're listening to that, and then you're able to mirror, we'll talk about that technique, but mirroring back and saying it back to them like, you're not good at this. Just diving into that even more. There'll be times like that. So listening for life transitions, listening for obstacles or gaps, listening for repeated patterns. Um, but here is where your intuition kicks in, so having to read between the lines of what clients are saying. Many people are indirect. Many people try to, talk and dance around an issue. And this is where, open-ended questions and digging into an area of one of these targets, really helps. Because there's gonna be plenty of times like that. Somebody's just like not directly getting to, what the real issue is. And you gotta see that as a coach. But and like throughout when you're meeting with somebody, meeting with a client, it helps to take notes and pay attention to these words. So it's big to have a notebook, have a journal, something where you take take
Mhm.
a note. You don't have to always steer down that, but there'll be times when you're listening like, oh, I gotta take this down. There's something that a repeated word or repeated scenario that keeps coming up, and you like, okay, I gotta write this down. And it's like questions as well. So you repeat back
Mhm.
questionable things that are said, and then diving into that. Um, yeah, and then from here, you got the obstacles, and we all have these obstacles, as coaches. Uh,
Mhm.
So obstacle, thinking ahead about your next question. Obstacle, being distracted by your own personal life events. And this is you looking, yourself as a coach. You're listening and you're being distracted by your inner thoughts. uh
Right.
Physical, being biased or making assumptions while listening. So not giving client proper space to think and speak. Interrupting clients with your own sharing. Too much time spent in the client's past. Trying to meet in a public place. So these
Mm.
obstacles you're coming here. So just think about your own challenges when listening to this. Take a moment right now and just think like, okay, what's from your perspective, what's strong on your side, you think, when you're listening to somebody like that pops up. And I'll tell you mine, unless you want me to go first.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead. Mm.
So for me, it's that thinking ahead for the next question. So I
Yeah.
I struggle with that. There's times I struggle with that where I'm just listening. I'm like, okay, what question can I ask them, to dive deeper instead of like being there in the moment and listening, and that's where I could get, that's where I get my question is from what they're currently talking about. You know,
Yeah.
Sometimes I mess up in that way where I'm just like, I'm thinking ahead too much to that next question. so so for you,
Yeah. I
what
can see that. I can see that being a problem for me. I can also see it being like, if I have something on my mind, you know, a
Yep,
bill that I've got at home I need to pay, and I don't know how I'm going to pay it, or check engine light came on in the car on the way
yeah,
over there or something. You're like, well, what's that about?
yep, yep,
And things like that can come up. And I can see that kind of at least being a distraction.
Yep.
I may be able to kind of put it aside, but I won't be able to give 100%. I can see how that would take away from that. But then, yeah, like you said, I think I'm gonna struggle with that too. Is what's the next question? Um, and then, yeah, I think also just that sense of feeling like I need to say something
Yeah.
brilliant to really justify what we're doing here or to justify what they're paying or something. And I
Yep.
gotta come up with some brilliant insight or proverb or what's a Bible verse to quote for your situation. But I'm going blank and I'm trying to figure out what I'm gonna think about. Well, meantime, they're still talking. I can
Yep.
see that being an issue.
Yep. Yep. When you're trying to dig in, you're digging into
Yeah,
your brain, like, what can help with this? What can help with this? Instead of
yeah,
just conversating and just talking. Because a
yeah,
lot of times we get stuck in our own head when we're just like, just listen to what they're saying, and then just dive in and let them, because they'll end up saying it. They'll be like, wait, this verse says it, they'll end up diving into their brain, and you getting them to, a powerful verse that they came across in their life, instead of
mhm,
you saying a verse that help you in a certain way. Or just like, oh, they're actually, you ask these questions, they're digging in, digging in, digging in. They're like, oh man, this verse, help me. Matthew 6:33, that's my family verse.
yeah,
Seek the kingdom of God above all else, and they'll end up, they'll get to the answer. And that's the beauty of coaching, because it's like you're fighting not to give answers.
yeah,
Beauty of it. You're getting them to get to that revelation. So yeah, it's just us getting out our heads, definitely. And it's a so there is a need to unlearn as well. So unlearn, letting the person solve, like we said, letting the person solve as they will, uh, as this will be more open and impactful for the client. So it's unlearning. It's a need
yeah,
to unlearn these obstacles that you have. But yeah, these make you, disengage. Like all these obstacles make you disengage from listening and getting caught up in your head. Uh, what if, and the big thing is, like, what if you are wrong?
yeah,
you know, if you give an answer may have worked for you or someone else, and you gotta realize each client is unique in their own way. You may say something, you may be wrong. At the same time, you give yourself grace. There's gonna be times where, like, you do say something like, oh, that was a good thing to say, but give yourself grace. But that's why we try to have the client get to those answers. We try to nudge them in the way we think they should go, but ultimately they get to that answer. um, and then, like, do not meet in a coffee shop, when you're coaching someone, because there could be so
yeah,
many different distractions. So let's have an area, could be, both, like we are both on Zoom in quiet areas, or if meeting in person, meeting in a quiet room somewhere, a meeting room.
mhm,
Yeah, yeah. Also, in the car, meet in the car. There's times where we've had clients before where they were like just logged on in the car, and it was like, oh no, we can't do this in the car. Too many distractions. You trying to drive, and we trying to coach at the same time. Let's just log
yeah,
log off and let's meet, when you get home. So those type of things as well. It happens. It happens.
yeah,
But yeah, so open-ended questions. This is what you do throughout. You try to get open-ended questions. So asking great questions so people and clients will talk. And this is the objective.
mhm,
And this is how you gain the trust and buy-in of your client as well. Just continue to asking those open-ended questions. We're trying to gain that trust. And then, so yeah, great questions, great answers. So getting the client to a sound mind. That's the goal. Get into a sound mind. So
yeah,
great questions lead to a revelation that produces clarity and focus. Coaches ask open-ended questions that lead with who, what, when, where, how. Coaches avoid closed-ended questions that yield yes or no answers, which begin with do you, would you, can you, etc. And then always avoid why questions because why is usually intimidating to clients. So, asking why could get someone to, be defensive and then start diving into a rabbit hole of, analytics and analysis paralysis and trying to understand this is a road you don't want to, go down. We start asking why questions.
So like if they said they're struggling with something, instead of saying, why do you think you struggle with that? You could say, what do you think
Yeah,
causes that struggle? That would be a
exactly.
better way to, okay.
Yeah, like what made you do that or what triggered that? Just
Or what
go
led up to that?
what
Or
led up
something
to
like
that.
that. Yeah,
Exactly.
okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Because those whys will get you down a rabbit hole you don't want to go down. And it's
Okay.
not, and it gets to that thing like they think you're judging them and all those things. Like, why would you do that? Boo, 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 boo.
Yeah.
So you don't want to go down that hole. But it leaves the client, down the path of, self-critique as well. So
All
being
right.
self-critical in themselves. You don't want to go down
Plus,
that.
plus, plus, it occurs to me you got to think about, what if they had a parent that was very, why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? All their life,
Hmm.
and they've already got that voice in their head from that, and then
Exactly.
now they're coming to you for help, and they're just getting more of, why are you doing this? Why are you doing that?
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I want to avoid it
'Cause
for
they,
that
I mean,
reason.
and we do it ourselves. You look at yourself. You ask all these different whys to yourself. You try to
Yeah,
be, self-critical, and you don't want somebody else trying to come along and ask why when you already in your head, to figure out why. You know,
right.
those
Yeah.
it's a path you don't want to go down. Yeah, being self-critical of yourself. And then closed questions versus open questions. So reading this first one closed. So would you be able to would you be able to do that and keep your evenings open for your family? And is yeah, open. What could you do to keep your evenings open for your family? So big difference. How can we involve the client in the process? That's what you think about. That's your mindset. It's like, how can I involve the client into this process? And us asking those closed-ended questions, it's not involving, the person you're talking to.
Hmm.
And another close one says, do you want to make some needed changes in your life? And that's a quick yes or no question right there, where you could change it up and be like, what exactly would change look like in your life? So, but
Okay.
yeah, when you get stuck with closing the questions, you start trying to, fix it. You get down that hole of like the client gets stuck, just answering yes or no's. Then it puts it on you to start trying to, trying to ask questions to, or you start giving answers to fix the situation, and you don't want to. Yeah, it gets to that point where it's like you're trying to, you want the client to give those answers, and you're not trying to fix. You want the client to figure this out.
Okay.
All right. So what we just went through that was not the techniques right there. So we're about to get into all the different techniques on to help with this with open-ended questions. And so if you need a drink of water right now, get a drink of water. But yeah, these help bring the client along on the journey, you know, at doing these different techniques. Um, so let's go into the first one. And so this is your best friend right here, being curiosity. So probe for more clarity. This is what you'll constantly do with your client. Uh, so questions like, what would you like to talk about? What is your objective here? What do you gain from this? What did you mean by that? Please tell me more about that. And then I mean, also on the test, we're gonna go through several different questions. Uh, and then on the test, it's gonna say what are your favorite questions that you like to use that you think you would like to use. So, take note of the questions that you like. Oh, I could see myself, saying this. Uh, but this, like I said, this is your best friend in coaching, being curious. So, diving into the client means by being, fearful or hurt or stuck, you're diving into those different things. So this is helpful at all times, definitely. And then can you expound on that? That's another one. How do
Mm,
you, how did that make you feel? This is good when the client is evading, from the true answer. You start being curious even more if like when it's not, you know, the realistic answer to those questions. I know, when in doubt, I go to, please tell me more about that. That last one. Use that all the time. Please tell me more about that.
okay.
Yeah. And this is a good one right here. So mirroring back. So this is great, but you don't want to overuse it though. You don't want to overuse it too much. But mirror back, repeat or reflect comments. So what I think I hear you saying is, it sounds to me like you're saying, would you please repeat that? Did I hear you correctly? So, you repeating back what they're saying. Exactly. So mirroring back is a form of a question. This is a great at all stages. So mirroring back is important because sometimes you can mirror back what someone's saying, and it could be totally off from what you think they're saying. So it's good to mirror back when it's like you're trying to be like, okay, did I hear this right? And you're saying exactly back what they said. Um, I mean, you may say it in a different way, like, are you saying this? So mirroring back gets both you and the client, aligned on what's being said. Client and that's not what I meant. This is what I meant. That's what the client would say. That's not what I meant, but this is what I meant by this. If you were off. And then articulating. So articulating, expressing an observation. I see that you are continuing to, you keep bringing that up again. That topic certainly lights you up. There seems to be a pattern here. So this is, bringing to light what you are observing and explaining to the client, uh, and the gap that you are seeing. Explain that gap that you're seeing while they're talking, and as you're going through the session, you're bringing it to the light. So like bringing the subconscious to the conscious. So bringing from the back of the mind to the forefront of their mind. That's how you could look at this. Is when you're articulating, you're bringing it to the forefront. We're like, oh, okay. Where they're like, okay, I didn't see it. I didn't see it that way. And it's just like you're just going off of what they're saying. It's like, okay,
Mm,
from what I'm saying, what I'm hearing, I'm getting this. So it helps. It definitely helps. This helps the client with safety and trust as well. Where like you're truly actively listening, and then you're filling that gap for them, like bringing it to the forefront of their mind of like, oh, I didn't see it that way. And like I said, this with the articulating, that's truly having a conversation. You know,
hmm
that's truly like you not getting stuck in your head too much of like, what's the next question? You know, in this situation, like you're truly listening and you're just articulating back from what they said. Like I'm getting this. This takes true active listening right here. So meta view. So with this one, this is also I'll call this out. This is gonna be on the test right here, the meta view. So you take note of that. That's gonna be on the test. Um, so meta view, focus on the big picture. What does this decision affect? How does this decision affect others? Where does it rank in the big picture? What impact will this make in 5 years? What is God's perspective here? So this is helpful for the vision stage. So moving the client from a narrow vision from just what is in the front of them to a broader outside their box view. And this is a big reminder. You're taking notes. Take note and listen for those buzzwords, when you're at this, when you're using this one. As you start coaching, you will know, where to apply these different questions as well. And that's so with this, sometimes we and our clients can get so worried about the small things and that we need to have a God view of these things. So that's what this part is. It's like, okay, how does God, look at this? What is God's perspective here?
Hmm.
What impact would this have, in 5 years or a year? Looking at that too. And then what if, and this also will be on the test. So take note of this one. This is one that be on the test right here. Um, what if expressing an observation? What if you did know? What if you had permission? What if there weren't obstacles? How would things be different if? So this is taking the obstacle away and getting the client to dream. So you're getting them to dream. So this is good when a client gets stuck and just saying, I don't know. I don't know. With the other questions. If they get to just saying, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know, get them to step away and just dream like, okay, if this obstacle weren't here at all, what would happen? What would you be doing? Getting the elephant out of the room because it is hard to move with it in there. You know, they seeing that big
Right.
old elephant, stuck in this room and they can't see nothing at all with this elephant out the room. So taking that big obstacle, that big elephant out the room. So imagine you do know and someone walks in a room that does know. What happens
Mm.
there? It's a whole new perspective. Taking the client out of their shoes and putting them in the shoes of someone who has it all figured out. And this is the big what if right here. So what if you woke up tomorrow and all your problems were solved and you had everything you possibly needed? And this is used in cognitive therapy as well. So this is, great for clients that it's hard to dream. So you're in that what if stage, but this is the big what if question right here. Um, and I mean, I'll ask you this. So right now, so how would you respond to this question? So what is one thing you would want to do? If everything you woke up tomorrow, you know, all your problems were solved, you won I mean, you had that financial, freedom and everything, you know, what would you do?
I mean, yeah, I mean, then we would, I would say, you would either find and buy our dream house or find a way to build it.
Yep, yep. And,
Um,
and then what?
money was no object, you know.
Yep,
Um, I think I would have peace of mind without any money. Money struggles are my biggest
yep,
stress point, like a lot of people, I guess. Um,
yep. And
but
then
yeah,
and
if money was no option, then yeah, I'd go full speed into this coaching stuff, and I'd have the money to get a good website and get a good marketing strategy of some sort,
then
um, and I feel like I would, put myself out there more with that, with the coaching stuff.
yep. And then where would you go from there? And then what? Then from there.
Um, Maybe write a book. maybe
Okay.
retire early.
Yeah, yeah.
um, and then just take care of my family and play some golf and just can enjoy life instead of being stressed about it.
Yeah, yeah. That's
But then
awesome.
also pursue some of those dreams of like starting the coaching and maybe write a book. And then if that took off and really started growing, then that might even turn into, I don't know, maybe like a doing seminars at a church or something on coaching, like a Saturday couple hours at a marriage seminar type thing, um, or even just maybe doing like a speech or something to kind of get explain what coaching is, and then that would be a way to get clients too.
Yep, yep.
So yeah, stuff like that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And you see from there, you start seeing where the client's heart is. So I see where your heart is with everything too. It's just like, okay, you're in the right path right now. Doing this coaching. Like that's what you would be doing if you didn't have, if you had that financial freedom, still be doing this and doing at a bigger level. You'd be writing books, doing seminars, you know, helping your family out. So just seeing where the
Hmm.
client's heart is. But we asked this to get in the right ballpark of the coaching as well. Like, okay, what are we shooting for? What's that? You get to that vision. Okay, what's the vision and the big goal that we're shooting for? And so that's
Hmm.
how you get there is asking, ask this question. Like, okay, we're on the right path then. Like I said, it helps the client dream and see what they really want in life. Something they never really voiced out loud. That's what this question does. Gets them really thinking. And then another coaching technique is metaphor. So using word pictures. So if your problems were in a hiker's backpack, how heavy would it be? I get an image of a person. What is growing in your garden? What picture would you paint? Asking questions like that because some clients need that. They need to, you know, bring things to more worldly talk. So but yeah, this is great for clients who are visual learners. Share the visuals you see when the client tells you something. You know, and you know how also in the Bible with Jesus. So Jesus in the parables about the kingdom of God, he always did these different parables. Many people have to hear analogy and metaphor that relates to their physical world to get it. You know,
Hmm.
And so looking at that garden one, so it's like even diving deeper. So what's the weed in your life? So what do you need to weed out in your life? What needs to be watered? Looking at that garden one even more. That helps people as well. And then you could get to a point of brainstorming, find options and opportunities. So what other options are available? What else seems practical here? Where exactly would you start? How could help? Who could help you with that? What option appeals to you? So not giving the answer, but throwing out ideas and putting language to what do you think? This is if the client is if they're stuck. You start getting those suggestions out there.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's a great option to brainstorm with the clients. Sometimes we need to introduce a third or fourth option to help out the client when they're like, oh, when those two options that they put out there themselves, those aren't the greatest options. We're like, all right, let's brainstorm some more. We go deeper on this. Let's get a third and fourth option out there. You just start
Hmm.
throwing stuff out there, suggestions, and then you letting them choose that best route. You know, and so debriefing. This is a inquire and get updated. So what has happened since we met? Give me a progress report on that. Did you get to speak with so and so? What obstacle popped up this week? So this is just like a 5 to 6 minute update from the last talk. So it shouldn't take that long. So listen for excuses and getting off the track during this time. So you
Yeah.
listen for those and take note of those. But you need to establish an agenda to keep moving forward. So you'll debrief real quick and then just get an agenda to keep moving forward. Use this if the client tries to go off the rails, in the meetup. And then the clearing. So with this one, so it's talking about a lot of clients event. You don't seem yourself today. I'm curious about where you're at. What's going on? Your heart doesn't seem to be in the process today. Tell me what you really think. There could be times where a client could be going through a bad breakup, something like that. His got dumped by his or getting a divorce from his wife, or
Mm,
got dumped by his girlfriend, something like that. Just like just spend that time letting them vent, and then the session could switch, to getting past that obstacle. You never know. Like I said, life happens. Life
mm,
happens. But you have to see behind this. There's times where people are smiling, but the client may be hiding a cry. May need to cry behind that smile. You just got to be able to, read the situation, read the room, you know, kind of like in the tone of voice, and like they're, how they're presenting themselves when you're talking to them. That's why I say the best form of communication is, face to face. If you can't be in person, face to face, at least it's, on a Zoom call like this, so you can see like
uh,
expressions and, you know, how their actions are, when you're answering questions. How to get the client to move along. You may that's the thing right there. Like if a client gets stuck, and getting them to move along and not get stuck in that pit. It's hard to be in the pit, you know, getting out that pit. So it's the best, and we'll get to this at the end. So the technique of turning the light on. So just having them see the positive, and where is God, where is the light. This will naturally, pull them out of the pit, getting them to see the positives out of what's going on. Because you don't have them, stuck there in that vending mode.
yeah.
But it is needed. It is needed at times. And that's where, also with that's where trust, is gained, through the different sessions where you're talking, you're active listening. Like I said, you're articulating back, all those different things. You're building that relationship, with your client, of listening. And that's where they'll feel comfortable to go ahead and just clear out and vent out whatever's going on in their heart and their mind. And then requesting. So requesting permission to share. And so this is the proper protocol in coaching as well, just to ask permission before sharing something, personal or hard to hear, your requests. And 100% of the time they're gonna say, yeah, go ahead. Nobody's gonna say, no, don't share that. No, about 100% of the time they're gonna say, go ahead and share. So, but
Okay.
it's proper protocol just to ask before, sharing something deep, or a testimony or something. So things just say like, may I have your permission to share something here? I am going to request that you take a bold step this week and do this. Um, what will you commit to here? And so, and it's taking off the coaching hat and getting personal, dude. And you can say that too. I'm taking off my coaching hat right now. I'm gonna talk about something, personal. But yeah, sharing a bold statement, uh, a bold ask of the client, And that's what I did when we first were talking about me, and I took off my coaching hat and I was just talking about personally health issues going on with my family. When I
Hmm.
I did that. And so, and what I should have said is it okay for me to share? You know.
Yeah.
But me just saying I'm taking off my coaching hat and getting personal, you can just say that statement too. Um,
Right.
yeah, sharing a testimony, inviting the client into saying something, personal you were saying. But this is it's a powerful technique. And then you ask the client like how did that benefit you? What hope does this rise up in you? After me giving this testimony. You ask those questions to the client. And then championing. So being a cheerleader, cheering on your client. Encourage, encourage, encourage. That's what this is all about, championing. So I believe you can do this. Keep pressing on. You're almost there. Don't let one bad day define your entire week. This is, giving your client confidence that they're getting to their goals and to keep on going. You're constantly doing this. And then same along that route is affirming. So validating the client. So you probably don't even realize how smart you really are. This was highly creative of you. Your dream reveals your servant's heart. I am honored to be your coach. So just tell the strengths seen and give life. So this is giving life to the client, because a lot of guys, they don't get this. A lot of guys don't get these affirmations. In life, they just go about and be like, oh, this is my responsibility. This me being accountable to what I'm supposed to be doing. A lot of
Hmm.
guys need that affirmation, and then you being their coach, you're seeing all these things they're talking about. Like, oh man, you're really doing a good job at just getting your kids to school. You're doing a great job at you know you know you got that doing your job and getting that promotion. Like, give yourself credit for getting that promotion. Don't just pass that by. You know, or you're doing a good job. You're cooking every night. All those things. Just things that your client tells to you. You're
Hmm.
affirming them that they are on the right track to get into that goal that they're trying to get to. And then at the same time, they're stretching, so challenging the client. So you're doing all that championing and affirming, but there's times where you're gonna have to stretch them. So that dream seems to be to be really safe. What more is there to it that you are choosing not to reveal? So you say you want a different outcome. What are you willing to do differently in order to experience something new? So this is you being a truth teller. So you gotta be a truth teller, not a buddy, but you're still their coach. You're still
Hmm.
being their coach. You know, Sometimes our clients they try to play it too safe. Try to play it way too safe. Like, oh, I'm just gonna go about this little small goal or this small vision, but you got to push them and stretch them because there's always more, and that's where also being curious. That's why you're being curious too. Like, no, this we could go bigger than that, or we could go
Hmm.
deeper than that. You know, but in week 7, we're going to talk about the lies we believe, and sometimes you're going to challenge the client to the client's thinking about the lies they believe. So once you start getting into that book, uh, but yeah, I had someone challenge me in that way a couple years ago. Mm, yeah, definitely. But the question is, but what did God say? That's how you stretch
Right.
somebody too. It's like, what did God say about this?
Right.
And this is when I was talking about with the light switch. So light switch, negative into positive. So when they're in that pit, just just going all the way in that pit and just stuck there, you turn that light switch on for them. So what is going right in your life? What are you thankful for at this point? How would this look different if you could view it through God's eyes? So this is getting rid of the negative darkness by turning on that positive light. So this is truly fighting triggers as well. You're fighting people's triggers. So and you would ask questions like, "Where's God? What is going right?" You know. And just give you an example of this one, we had a client before that lost their house in a fire, and the client was like, they were stuck on God. God hates me, and that's where you like, no, 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 no. So we need to
Yeah.
get out that pit. So you just get into that point of like asking those questions where like, okay, yeah, funds are being raised, no one died, you know, just leave. It was just a resource that was gone, that was lost, you know. But it's how to find the love in there. So love is somewhere in that pit. There's love inside there. There's
Hmm.
people helping you out. There's strength being gained. You know, what is the worst of the worst? Get into that mindset of like, okay, it's not that bad. I'm not dead. I'm still alive.
So it would be okay at that point, like in that scenario, to say, well, let's look at a couple of scripture passages that talk about
Mm.
God will always provide and he will never leave you nor forsake you,
Mhm.
and kind of point those out
So with
to get
that,
that godly perspective.
yeah, so with that, it's like you want them to get to it. You want them to still get to it. So with that, you would ask like let's see.
Like, what if you showed them the verse and they said, okay, what does that verse tell you? Or
Yeah. But you would ask
what
you
do you
asking this
get
you
out of
asking
that
this way.
verse?
You asking this way, like, have you read so and so? And then be like, if not, that would be homework for them. So they would read it, before the next time y'all meet up. Because you kind of asking in that way, like, have you read, Job? Have you read the story of David? Ask those different things. Then you would be like, okay, I'm gonna send you this scripture, this chapter to read, before we meet up again. And so, not every person will hear it, because that's the thing. Is like when they're in that pit, they're not gonna they probably know the word. They probably heard that scripture before, but they're not gonna all the way and take it. You know,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, yeah. So they'll hear that specific scripture. Probably you probably heard it in a certain way when you read it, but they're not gonna receive it all the way. You're like, okay, you're
Right.
gonna give this homework for you to go, dive in so they could get that revelation. So you're just pointing them in a certain story of the Bible, that relates. That's the biggest thing. Point them that direction. And diving in more into that, there's other questions you could ask in that situation. So how did you determine God hates you? So, diving into it, having them answer that, you know, what do you mean by God hates you? You know, do you believe from scripture God hated Job? If they bring up the story of Job, and they be like, oh, in the story of Job, uh, God hated Job. Like, hold on, let's dive more into that.
Hmm.
But what is God saying to you in the midst of this? That's another question. Uh, yeah, there's tons of things. And then, oh, another one. Do you feel like God's love is conditional? You know, get into that, get into that, answering that question. Like, no, God's love is unconditional. Get into that mindset. Like, it is truly
Huh.
unconditional. But them thinking through and like, in what ways could this be worse? Have your client speak to these words. But yeah, if you get to this point of leading the person as much as you could to the answer, then yes, you have to, have grace to give an answer to help. You know, it's like
Mhm.
you done all you can, leading them to, get to that answer. give yourself some grace. If you have to answer answer that question for them, like, yeah, like you guys, what's the worst of the worst? And they can't get to the point of like that they're alive, like you're still alive. You gotta say it for them, you know. It's okay
Hmm.
to do that. There's times you have to do that. When it's like an obvious, blatant answer, and you just like, okay, I gotta give this answer to them to get them out of the pit and then get them thinking, on the positive side. And also, the big thing is too with this, don't leave the client's session on a negative note. You know, at the very least, the client will have some homework, with that specific story in the Bible to gain clarity. But you don't want to leave them on a negative note. You know, be aware of the time. So at like the 45-minute mark, you'll need to get to safety. Get to that safety. If it's like an hour, you got the hour session. You're trying to by that 45-minute mark. Okay, we got 15 minutes to get to safety. You don't want to leave them there. So get a baby step going where you're getting to a place of safety and you're establishing some positive baby step goals going right there.
Okay.
And I mean, it could lead to also talking about, additional help during that time too. So what we talked about before about, oh, you may need a therapist, all those type of things, but having that conversation of like, I'll recommend some therapists to reach out to, or I mean, even, suicide hotline, that type of thing. Like, oh, call this line right now. When we get off the call, like call this, hotline. If it gets to that point when they're talking to you, it could be that
Hmm.
that serious, definitely.
What about like if there's a book that I want to recommend to them? How would you go about doing that?
Yeah, go ahead. If it's something that you believe will help, you know, I don't see nothing wrong with that. Yeah, if there's a book like that, they're saying things that a season that you were in and you understand, like, oh man, I was in that season and this book helped
Yeah.
me. Go ahead. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, recommend that book.
Okay.
All right, we made it to the end. So these are questions that will be on the exam at the very end. So take note of these just to be in preparation. So yeah, please record your answers in a safe place. You will need them on the test. Briefly list and explain the 6-stage coaching model, and then give an example of what if coaching question. And then, like I said, list 4 favorite coaching questions and why. And then, what is the MetaView coaching technique? Yeah. Let me know if I need to go back to one of the slides. I could you could do a screenshot of those.
Now with the test, can't remember if you said or not. Is it like multiple choice or essay or something, or
It's
I
essay.
can't
It's essay style. You'll
remember.
be
Okay, essay style.
Yep. And you're able to use, like I said, you're able to use your notes as well to look back on.
Okay.
All right. And then homework. Did you need me to go back to any parts?
No, I'm good. So what's the homework for next week?
All right. So please remember that all homework assignments are required in order for you to be considered for the certification. So just getting these homework items done. So there won't be any reading. There's no reading for before our next session, but there is a 22-minute video that you'll watch and the audio. So
Let me go. Oh, so the who am I? Yeah, the 22-minute. Okay.
yep. And so there's an identity worksheet. So take some time. You'll have to take a little bit of time to get this done. And it's been a challenge, for a lot of people, getting this done. Like we had people drop out, you know, and just they start having the enemy talk to them as they go through this identity worksheet. So just stay strong, get through it, just be truthful on there, um, and truly evaluate your identity on that worksheet because you're gonna be diving in to who you are. And
And I need to answer all those for next
yeah,
week.
go through that whole identity sheet before next
Okay.
week. Yeah.
Okay.
Also let me know if there's a Sunday, good for you to take off. Because we could, if we need to take off next Sunday and meet back up for the next, Sunday after that, just let me know. Is there
Okay.
I don't know, is there a weekend that you'll be off? You'll be gone. You need to
No, not at this time. I think right now I'm good.
Okay. So our next time we'll come back is October 6th. Yeah, October
Okay.
6th. But yeah, you have the
Okay.
identity worksheet, and then you have the class notes, print out class notes for the taking the next class. Well, I said no reading. Yeah, no reading next week. Yeah.
Okay.
And I would suggest also if you could coach somebody, just undercover, coach undercover. So
Okay.
other like they won't know what you're doing. Just talk in conversation. Just think about these coaching techniques and just do it.
Okay.
Just do it randomly, like while you're talking to people. Just do a little practice. Yeah.
Okay. And when did you say I need to start doing a coaching session
So that's gonna be after week 3. So after week 3.
for week
But
three?
this
Okay.
Yeah, so this is just you just randomly doing this with people that you're having conversations with. So just practicing the like especially like those like who, what, when, where, and how questions. Uh but
And
yeah,
then
just
I'll have until the end to finish that.
um
The
but no, this
the
this what I'm talking about now, this is just undercover. You're just coaching undercover
oh,
right now.
right, right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, but
But
when
the
we're after
actual
but
two
after week 3,
samples.
yeah, after week 3, the samples, you'll have until week 10 to finish those.
Okay.
Yep, yep. But
Okay.
now just get a little undercover practice in right now. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Let me stop. Let me stop recording.